Hey people, this is going to be a really big show. I can't entertain you with impressions. I've never wanted to be known for my ignorance, but I can dazzle you with my ability to Argento the Rebus. If you didn't watch part one, you're not going to understand where I got the name Odin from. It just didn't come up in this verse. But this is a great movie. It's better than the last one. You might want to watch it first and go back and watch that later. So in the code in Odin, I told you I needed to go read up on Odin, but I didn't do that. What I did, I went back to Kevin's comment and got that second verse he was talking about, 1138, to look that up before I went reading up on Odin more. And so I lied about the impressions. I do a Louis Primo and a David Lee Roth that I've been accused of lip syncing at karaoke contest at. So the reason I called Kevin out like that was to encourage y'all to do the same, because I quit reading King James. As soon as I saw that the language was changed, I went to the Hebrew, and I've been trying to break those writings down. So you can figure my Bible's about 50 times as thick as yours, because I have to spend a lot of time with each word. So I put the Latin and the Greek and the Hebrew all side by side here again to line them up. And the Latin is also called Italian Vulgate. And when I saw this word at the end on the next line, I had to go ahead and break that one down too. So I'm going to start here with these simple phrases, and it's going to help with our history and explain the language some. But this colet ora et argento is a phrase you see in alchemical treatises all the time, and what it means is to strain. This is where your word colander come from, and also colon, to strain the ore, to whiten, or et argento, to whiten. And the reason that the colander and the colon are in common is because the rebusque. But your colon, it's when you try and expel something, you colon, you can see the strain in your face. But to strain the ore, to whiten, several meanings. And this rebusque is the same word worldwide. It's ancient word from South America, from the Argentina area, to the area to whiten, and this means informal. And so this is the base for your word rebus, and this is where your ancient language come from. This is where your English language come from. I'm fixing to prove it to you. The Hebrew and all these old languages of the alchemists. So if you can't read this, if you can read this, it's what it says. Can you see well? Yeah, if you can see this, you can see well. You move this U over here. And so it only takes 4 letters, and the way you change these 2 letters up is going to change the meaning. Can you see well? Or you can see well. So we can see it here in Genesis 5:2 in this ancient alchemical artwork, and you can see Adam. He's saying why Adam have, Eve is to have. Why Adam have a Zachar and a Nephib? And you can see the old fish head god, he got his finger out because he's telling him here that Zachar the ZKR, and that's the tool to plow, the tool to ka, to give, ra, first, the tool to give first, and the nephub, and the NQBE, that's vav, connected, and the seed, center. Q is center. You have to look at all these charts. They'll have some different meanings. You have to look at all of them and get them all. But it's the seed cubby, the seed center B in life. The Zachar, the tool to give first, and the seed cubby to bear from, to make brick mate. And so to make a brick mate, to make the mason. And this isn't about people, this is about language. It's talking about the Rebis. You have to read it two different ways. The Zachar and the nephub, to bear from, to give birth, to make brick mate, to make fair to. And this is this got a tack. It's reading backwards and forwards. This is MMS, ancient word for bleach that they still use today. You'll see that woman in the news that they're down her for giving her autistic child MMS, to bleach, to the bleach waters. It reads backwards and forwards. MMS is bleach, and then MM, the bleach waters, from, made by, connect from, the bear from. And by connecting your Zachar and Nephib, by plowing the field to bear the masons, the white, the bleach, made by the connection from, the bear from. That's how you create. You see it again here in this word for divide. The make, the yod, that is the hand to make. And then the H is the fence, and it means to divide. And then the L is the bind, to direct is what you're working with, the bind that you work with. To make, divide, the bind. Q is center, and you see that well in the picture of the Q in the Egyptian language, and also in the this old symbol used to just be a circle with a line through it, the center. To make, divide, center is half. It's not divide, it means half. For those that saying you're a conspiracy theorist, how could they pull off something this big? And it's quite easy. And what you do is first you run out all the civilians, and then you only have your people in there. And the way you control your people is you promise them a pension, and so they live in this short life. All your military, they retire in 20 years. I joined at 17. If I stayed in, I'd have been retired 20 years ago. But they working on his pension, and they know they can't say anything. And it's really easy to control the people. You run out the civilians and you put your people in place. So I'm not the only person that thinks this. You can see it, Robert Axon, professor of Sanskrit, and he says it's well enough known that our language has derived a considerable portion of its vocabulary from a Norman source, but as yet at least very little use has been made of this fact. And you go on and read about that, but it says even when the actual origin of the word is stated, it is put in so clumsy a manner at times that the student had better off be without the information. So the first thing I noticed about this was this word mozine is very similar, mozim and M-O-Z-I-M, and this very seldom happens. I don't know if it happens at all, just with the names of what they say is people in the Bible, the the names would be very similar, and not even this similar. But this is the base for your word limousine, and it's the base for your word Moses, mosey. It's what sheep do when you got a herd of sheep. They kind of mosey. They mosey around real slowly, nibbling on grasses. It's your mosey, is your flock of sheep. And so this is the base of your word limousine. That's what the French would say if the Mosine's coming. They would say le limousine, the limousine. And so your limousine, your ancient limousine, is also the letter Tazad. That's what you do when you get in a limousine. You spread on out. And those ancient limousines, well, they had music. These would be the Nigrs, N-G-R, and that's the cycle of the foot, the N, the cycle, the G to carry, and R, the first. And so when you see the word N-G-R in the Hebrew, that's the ones it's talking about. And then these back here, the warriors, these are your Nigais, N-G-S. And these are the ones that are whipping your path. And so they would go out and mosey and collect their taxes. You see this one, he's holding the watch band. He's not carrying, he's whipping the path. And I found that somewhere else, and it was talking about the death. And it's talking about you no longer have the niggas to whip your path. So I hope nobody takes offense to that, and if you do, it's because of the language change. But you can see here that these old whiteys here, these are the niggers. This is the niggas, the ones that aren't carrying, but the ones that's whipping a path through the crowd in front of you. And so when you die and you're riding, when you're riding in your limousine, you no longer have, when Ra is after the sun goes down, and he's fighting through the night, he no longer has the niggas to whip a path, to whip the path through. You can see that here in Exodus 5:11. The taskmasters are the niggas. And we down here in this next verse, this N-G-R-O, the Negroes, that's us. We're here to be reduced. We're the ones trying to make brick without straw. And then we got the police, the taskmasters, standing over us, trying to force us to make brick without straw. And so niggas is the police. The niggers is the ones in all your law, your government offices, the ones that's enforcing all your lawyers. That's your niggers. And we're the Negroes. We're the ones that's having to produce all this from nothing for some bullshit command that think they're God. You see here again the taskmasters and the niggas to make from. So these two words are really similar. This is to mosey in, and this is to mosey from. So the D means to through. It's the door. The fourth letter means through. And so this says do motum mosey from in loco su venerabitur. And so this is through the motum. And a motum is a word generator. This is a word generator, and it's like it's a translator. Translate numbers into words or times into words, and and like your modem and your is the part between your computer and the World Wide Web that translates the message on your computer into a signal that'll travel the web, and the modem takes the signal coming in from the web and translates it back into something you can read. So through modem, the mosey from in loco su venerabitur, in loco, in crazy you, and to vener, you see it almost says venerate, and abitur, the word to let out the word, the crazy you let out, to let them see how crazy you are. You done opened your mouth. It doom come the ignor raven runt patris e juice. So through from to come ignore this aberrant is where your word runt come from. That's the ninth puppy in your litter that doesn't have a titty. Aberrant means the one over there on the side that's not noticed, is not seen. The ignore, the one ignored over there, the ignore aberrant of the patries e juice. This e juice is short for to make the justice. The colet ora to argento et lapide pretioso, and to strain the ore, to whiten, and to lapide the pretioso. Lapide isn't a stone. Lapide is like a veneer of a outer stone. You know, you got a brick house, it's framed up in wood, but it's got a veneer. The outer stone is just brick. The lapide of the pretty oso. They're trying to make this say, oh, so pretty, but this is before, and tioso. So for this tioso, I'm gonna bring you over here to the Google Translate and show you how that works. But here's that lapide, and I put it before Davi just to see how it changes meaning. And then the tioso is crazy, so pre-tioso would be before crazy. And if you take out this space, put it on the same line, it's going to change the meaning of both words. And it's because the way this Google Translate works, it searches for an older translation and it doesn't matter whether it's a good translation or not. It tries to find where you got that word from, so it can give you the same translation you've already been given. But when you separate it, it'll change up. So to collet ora, to strain, to whiten, to lapide pretioso. So it's possible that the tioso was changed when they were trying to say it is crazy to try to whiten the precious lapide, the precious stone. And being that this is one of the honored Mason verses, that's probably pretty good. We'll get some more out of these other two translations. But yeah, to strain, to argento, to whiten the precious stone, and that's what we do when we're trying to clean that pineal gland, trying to open our third eye, and straining to do it. I know myself anyway. I work real hard and try to do it, and when you totally forget and don't care, that's when it happens. And then the rebusque pretiosis, and so just like the Hebrew, it teases around the words. It's poetry, And so the Rebus is meaning informal, and like a Rebus is the informal language, and this is the Basque, the informals that came from when Atlantis sank. And so the pretty osis is a condition, and usually a bad condition. A suffix denoting a process or condition, and usually a poor condition, but not necessarily. So this doom here, this is the word meaning God here. And so this could be the God Autem, mosey from, in the craze you to venerate the word, to let out the word. And so are the God do from Otam. Otam was this first god of Egypt. He was the main first god, most important god to be worshipped until later time of Ra. But that's all part of the Rebus. There's it's not God's. Well, you believe whatever you want to, but it's all words. It has meanings to it. And he was the first motum. It was through the motum to mosey from, in loco su venerate, to let the words to let out from the modem. He was the first modem. To acquire the knowledge to God from, to acquire the knowledge due from, come ignorant of the Father's justice, the Patre's justice. To strain the ore, and to whiten the precious stone of the Rebus of pretiosis, of the pretty condition. So that's just this one possible translation. You can see there's several possible translations in that one. And so we're going to go to this Greek, or this Italian Vulgate. And so this key here is this cotter key that holds your wheel on, the valve pin. And so it's a W, a U, a V, or a and, or a to, as in connected to. And you see it here again, to. And then this N here, this takes the place of B. It's the same as the Vav does. And you see it again. You see it again here, the Vav, VB, the VB. So I'm going to pull another picture up and read this. And so this says, to the light, to the on, to the light, mosey in. The pi. The pi is the mouth, and it means to open. To the pi, to top, we, what to, doze a sea, what, to the light, mosey in. The pi, to open, to top, C2, to the TOPOU. And this could be read as oui, as in French, meaning yes, is affirmative. To the top, C2, what to does a see, does a see, a doozy, that's pretty loco. Well, you done pulled a doozy. And the light on, the genosun, The C make the paters. It's a positive or a plural here. And so this is best chances are meaning a number. The paters, what to does a C. In the crucio, to argue Rio. A Rio, it's down here, this would be a river, R-I-O, Arrigo. And argue, this is the word given when it says Cain killed Abel. It says to argue. And it actually means it means to find center. I talked about it in an earlier video, but it's one of the first knowledges to learn to find center, and without using a tape measure, just using a stick or something to make argue. To litho, timio. Timio is twins, and litho is a lithium or a light. To connect in the pithomasi, the desirable things, and we find this word in the Ten Commandments in 17, and its meaning the pithomesius, meaning to covet, is what they give it. And we'll look a little closer to this when we get over here to Hamid over here on the Hebrew side. So a lot of people are saying this is what he's talking about, the crucifix in the center. Right there in the center of your head, there's a protected eyeball, your third eye. It sits right there in the center of your head. And I'm a believer. I cracked mine one time, and I saw the light. I cracked it several times, and I saw the light every time. And it's the closest thing I've ever seen to God. So to the light, mosey in, to let it ease on in. The open to the top, see connected, here in the top of your head. What to doozy, the doozy see. I don't even want to try to interpret this word. We'll figure it out sometime later. But this is a D-O-X-A or D-O-Z-A. The doozy C. Does a C. And yeah, when I cracked mine open, I did see. To the light on. The Jenison. So the Jinn is an operation, is a machine with gears turning. The same as your brain works, some gears are turning. The Jenison. The N-O-I, to see make. The paters, the fathers. What to? It means the knowledge connected to the writings, the knowledge connected to its mark. The paters, what to? And this is where the Father connects. And Father puts his mark, he connects. Father's what to does a see. The doozy see. In the Crecio. The Crecio is a cross. The crucifixion is a cross, and finding center, as in as in the argue. To find center is what an argue is. It means to find center. Its representation is the Pisces is the representation of to make argue. And one day I'll break this down and explain. I explain it a little bit, but I'll explain a couple of these first knowledges. But this is when you're finding the center with just a stick and a pencil. This is the finish mark. This is what you find. And this represents the argue, to find center. In the crucio, in the center, to the argue Rio, to the argue, to find the center of the river, center of the flow, to the litho timio, to the light of twins. Maybe we get a better idea when we hit the Hebrew over there. And in the epitome, I think they're trying to say epitome, and they're just trying to rhyme it with these other words to keep the poetry in line. But epitome is a perfect example of desirable things, the perfect example, a C. So we're going to go out with a bang here. When I put this up here, I didn't read the Hebrew because I didn't want it to influence my interpretation on this Latin and Greek. I just lined it up using their King James interpretation. I lined up the vav to the key, the vav to the key, the B to the N, and the vav B to the key N. And so I don't want to leave y'all hanging, so I just want to show you this, and I'll finish the next movie in this. This is getting long. Where it says the cum Deo, the alieno, and Deo would be the Latin God. Cum Deo, the alieno, with the strange God, oh alien. And you can see here in the Greek, it's meta theo, the allotrio, of the God of Trinity. And then you look over here in the Hebrew, and it's got a tack over here, so this is going to read backwards first. Is EVL, the evil. And then you see the same spelling almost, ALUEN instead of ALIEN here. It's going to be the evil alien. Evil alien of the allotrio. And so I'll read this. I haven't read this yet, and I'll do the next movie on it. This is getting too long, but we're going to go out with a bang with this Hebrew, and this Hebrew is sweet. So you'll see the Lola and will allow here. The Lola and will allow, and we saw them in the Greek on that last verse in 7:25. I did on the last movie in the Lola see and the allow to see. The Lola see and the allow to see. So I'm gonna read this through, and it's straight from the Book of the Dead, and so this Hebrew is my specialty, and there's no such thing as Hebrew. It's the brew. The brew is what you call a covey of witches, the moon worshippers, the Lola. So I'm gonna go over a couple of these words before I read this through. The tack here is going to have me read this backwards then forwards, so it's when can to. And this word of make covered, Make cupboard is when your garden puts out enough to feed your family, and you have enough to make cupboard to put up to make fold in through, and to make fold is in when your cows fold, you know, when your garden folds, you're creating enough to cupboard. Here's a tack again here, so I'm going to read this one backwards first. And this A, I'm going to read this backwards. So this is not Ovid 2, but this is within. And this in Zeb here. The Egyptians didn't have a word for death. You know, it was either life or a life cut out of. In cut life in. B-Z-E-B. In cut life in. And this is the word for the dead. And this old bobbin here. The bobbin is the real you. Is your soul up in there, and all the string of life is wrapped around the bobbin, is what this means. So I'm going to try to read this and get it to rhyme like the ancients did. But this says, will Allah, or and will isn't asking will Allah, but it means Allah will, or to Lola the moon, the god of the brew, or the god of the covey of witches. To Lola mosey from, or will Allah mosey from, all when can to. Make cupboard will allow the rest soul we see through. Let's read this backwards. We see through. And then the other direction, this is identity. The ID, to see the life connected. The identity within. Make cupboard in death, in Zeb. And in cusp, to bobbin make free. And in cusp is what you're looking at the moon. Cusp is when the moon's not full. Any two arcs intersecting curved lines, like on the tip of your sword is a cusp, on the tip of your knife. When the moon's just coming out after it's dead, and it's just coming out. In Zeb and in cusp, to bobbin make free. And in divide from through connect T. And this is written like this in order to rhyme and to help get the meaning out of it. And you can see here, embalmed in the death, connect T, in the death connected seal. So will Allah mosey from, all when can to. Make cupboard will allow the wrestle we see through. So the wrestle was with Jacob here, and to make fair of Jacob, or to make see the center in. And it's also a joke in, you know, inside the joke there's some info, and you see that when, if there's a tack here, you would read this backwards, it would be B, info, information, to make see the center in. You got to look through all the outer side of that joke to see the true meaning, the info inside. The same, them fume, them rays, pineal. Pineal is the name of the place where the wrestling goes on. Up here in the pineal. Up here in the place of Jacob's wrestling. and Lola mosey from all when kin too. So mosey on out in time of death. Everybody sees a light when you die. Everybody goes, their pineal gland overloads, and same thing is if you trip it on DMT, overloading your pineal gland. And when Lola mosey from, all when kin too, make cupboard will allow the wrestle we see through. The identity within make cupboard in death, and in cusp to bobbin make free, and in divide waters through connect T. Connect T, connect the mark, or connect the writings. So I'm going to get on to that next verse here and break that down some more. I'm going to cut this off. This is so long and my internet's so slow. It might take me all night to load this one. I want to see about 10 shares on this, and this has got to be the best information ever put on the internet. All right, good day, folks.